It's ThursdAGE. We made it. We're just a little late. But you know, what good things aren't worth the wait? I say, none. And look who's in chat. Mark's here, Duke is here. Duke says, oh yeah. Book of cheeses. I like the sound of that. Who doesn't like a book of cheeses? Hey, I'm curious, chat. Canst thou hear me? Hey, Brian. Brian F. Irving, hanging out in chat.
Is that Jesus that's in the Messiah of the Christian religion, or is that Jesus that's in the edible milk product?
Cheeses, our Lord and Savior dairy product. Yeah. Sorry, Zantrin, we scared you. It's one of my favorite things to do, because I know people like to wait patiently for the show to begin, and then when it does, it scares you, and I like it. Hey, Cooperative Waffles is here, which is nice, because I much prefer a cooperative waffle over an incooperative waffle. Hi, Can's here. Good to see you as well. And, yeah, we've got some stuff to talk about today. The future of Age, which is, of course, the adventure game engine. And you can't have that discussion without these two fine gentlemen, good friends and fantastic colleagues. Hi, guys. It's Malcolm Sheppard. It's Ian Lemke. Sorry about that, Ian. And we got a lot of stuff to talk about. But first, just a little housekeeping. Did you know that we have soft launched the Atomic Think Tank? It is our, it's everything. It's everything that Green Ronin has our fingers in. We've got we got our freebooters in there. We've got space for age games. We've got Mutants and Masterminds. We've got it all. And you folks are invited to come and hang out and check it out. Now, here's the deal. We are, I liken it to sort of building the airplane while we're flying it, which means that there's a lot of building to do and a lot of growing and a lot of that kind of stuff, which is fun. It's never a dull moment. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to give you a link, and it's an invite link, and you can click on it and join us. Now, I see some of the names in the chat. You have joined us already. So for those of you who have not, that link that I just dropped, that will bring you right in. Give it a click and then check it out. Now, here's the deal. You have only one assignment. All you've got to do is let me know with a message on the think tank if there's anything that you'd like to see. Stuff that you were hoping we would do, things we would cover, resources, that kind of good stuff, special sections, all of that is up for discussion. And then the second piece of our housekeeping stuff is you'll see down there in the bottom corner, which I believe is your right corner. Maybe it's not. Yeah, it's down the opposite way that Malcolm. Yeah, there we go. Down that way, right under Ian. You're going to see a QR code. That QR code will take you to the Fantasy AGE Quickstart. Brand new, and it only cost $59.99. Right? It's free. I'm kidding. It's free. All you have to do is click, go there, download it. It's all yours. There are, how many pages is it?
It's just a good number of pages.
It's a good number. A really good.
The perfect number.
It's the perfect number of pages, crafted lovingly. And I do not see the page number list, but you know what? There's a way for you to find out. Go and download it. It's for free. The least you could do is count the pages. But yeah, so, this program is all about things powered by the adventure game engine. And, I guess it could be argued that you two power the adventure game engine. Right?
We tinker with it.
Yeah, you think, sure. Well, so let's start, Ian, with you. Talk about what it has pages, Stan. It really does. 37 pages. 37 of them, says Mark. Each one of them better than the last. Would you, Ian, tell us all what you do?
I am a developer at Green Running. I formerly was the developer for the Expanse role-playing game and Fantasy AGE.
Okay.
But I got fired off of Fantasy AGE.
No, you didn't. That is not what happened. Jeez Louise. The future of age. You're getting it all the hot goss. We'll talk about that in just a minute. But yeah, Fantasy AGE, The Expanse, and Malcolm, you are, let's say, what were you currently working on? And then we'll get into the current stuff.
I was. My title at the company is developer at large. So I work on a lot of different things. But mostly I have been developing a bunch of Age games. And that includes Modern Age and Cthulhu Awakens. But starting before today, starting at a non-disclosed time, I am no longer working on Cthulhu Awakens.
He was fired.
This may be related to Ian getting canned from Fantasy AGE.
So Ian got canned from Fantasy AGE.
You may have picked up something.
You got canned from okay. So then now what? I mean, who's going to come in and take care? I mean, such a large. I get other way. So you swapped titles.
Yes, we've swapped.
Nice.
So part of it is that a lot of stuff Ian is working on is ramping up.
Yeah.
And part of it is that he has actually been running Cthulhu Awakens, right, in streaming.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
I've run it, but I'm not running it for streaming, right? So he's literally put his face out in front of the game. So and the development duties for Awakens now are a little lighter. So the idea is that we're kind of swapping it out. And I'm working on Fantasy AGE going forward, and Ian is working on Cthulhu Awakens going forward.
So you got fired, and then you got a promotion.
That's
or
right.
A new job or something.
Or a new job, or
So you just
yes, a lateral motion. It does sound something.
That sounds a little naughty, doesn't it?
A little bit, just a little bit. Well, so now talk to me. Ian, let's start with you. Now, so here's my thing. Now, I'm not saying that Malcolm isn't creepy, but you kind of own the sort of darker, scarier horror related stuff. That feels like a good fit.
Yeah. I mean, I guess. I mean, that's sort of been my thing for a very long time. I mean, my first game development job was doing the Masquerade for Vampire the Masquerade.
Right.
So
yeah.
Sort of started with horror, and it's kind of gone all the way through. I'm doing my own horror game, and of course, I love everything, but the Expanse but the Expanse has horror elements as well.
It sure does
for a sci-fi game.
Yeah.
Something a lot of people don't quite realize, but yeah, there's a lot of horror elements in there.
Well, and interestingly enough, we get a lot of people who talk about what a perfect marriage that some of the elements of Cthulhu Awakens can be for the Expanse. Like talk about bringing some of that cosmic horror in there, and
you could definitely do some crossover there if you want to.
Duke says Ian is being typecast,
and people have noted that pretty much every game that I've ever run, any system I've run for any period of time, has ended up with Lovecraftian Cthulhu elements or a story in it. Like there'll be one episode that's one adventure that's all Cthulhu.
I like it.
So it works.
Yeah, it does work. Yeah, absolutely. And Malcolm, I don't mean to diminish your creepiness because you are quite creepy in your own way. But this is a good marriage for you as well. Yeah.
Well, the funny thing is Ian and I are both White Wolf alumni, although it's more of a sort because I just did a bunch of freelancing for them. Like Ian actually worked for them. And, for all the pleasures and pains that led to. And we were just talking about that earlier, actually.
David Bart says, GR.
I've always wanted to take over a fantasy game.
Yeah.
Because it is the archetypal form of RPG. And also, I want revenge for this Wizards interview that I blew a while back. Like, all right, if there are any WotC staffers watching this, I completely screwed it up.
Okay.
Like, I totally screwed it up. My lunch arrived in the middle of the interview.
Okay.
Like, my like DoorDash order showed up.
And so, did you start eating heartily in the midst of the interview, or
no, I didn't. Wasn't quite that bad, but I hadn't had any sleep, and there had been like a multi-day power outage affecting a chunk of the area I live.
I see.
So I couldn't do much in the way of pre-interview research. So, and I wasn't, my sleep was bad, so I was just blathering about nonsense and. Kind of like here, except
except that that's what this is about.
Except in this case, I already have the job, and you're stuck with me. But,
that's right. That's right, and that arguably is the purpose of ThursdAGE.
Seriously, though, like what I'm really looking forward to is there's a lot of the stuff that Ian built into Fantasy AGE, and Owen Casey Stevens built into Fantasy AGE, and Chris Kramus built into Fantasy AGE, and it's these distinct elements that I really kind of want to lift and push going forward. Like, we have, the classic fantasy ancestries, but we have them in different contexts, I think. Right. And we have more of a swashbuckling, Renaissance to Age of Sail approach. And all of these things, and I just want to start having fun with it. Nice. Plus, there are a couple of, if you remember the thing, Trojan War, Fantasy AGE Trojan War. I am a huge fan of doing work that length in that format. Yeah. So even before the switch, I was working on that stuff. So I'm really looking forward to doing some. Like very focused genre books in the style of Trojan War, and 2 of those are finished.
Hey, nice!
And they're just in their production queue, right?
Can we talk about them? Are we allowed to?
Engine, but I don't know if we're supposed to talk about that yet.
We're not talking about that yet.
Oh, well, never mind then.
But yeah, engine's coming for sure, and that's all we'll say. But as far as the other 2 that you're working on, do we want to give a little hint? Nate Robbins, thank you.
Well, you've seen them in other age-related. You've seen the genre in other age-related things before, but tied to I'm just gonna say what one of them is. We're gonna have Cthulhu Mythos support for Fantasy AGE.
Hey, nice. Very nice.
And it's distinct from Cthulhu Awakens. It has some systems from Cthulhu Awakens, but it has some new systems that are not in Cthulhu Awakens.
I do have to say this real fast. Nate Robbins, you're a sweetheart. Nate sent us a little gift and said it is a new age system gambit of dev love. You all rock so hard. Please know that you are in my heart. ThursdAGE is a great show and full of awesome info weekly. Thanks, Troy, for bringing us into the fold. Very, very thoughtful, my friend. You don't have to do that, but it is your kindness is appreciated. So. Yeah. Yes. So sorry. Continue.
Well, and the other one I will be more of a, more hinty about. Mm-hmm. Oh, that's totally a real word.
Sure, hinty. Yeah.
If some of you may remember a blog post I threw up, which presented the icon specialization.
Yeah.
Inspired by, 80s science fantasy cartoons. Mm-hmm. So it's more stuff along those lines.
I can tell you this, you're going to drive one of our folks just absolutely around the bend, and that'll be Tempo. Temporary is always popping by saying, hey, what about? Hey, what about? And so, yeah, that's perfect.
Oh, and there's another mytho-historical supplement covering real life medieval period coming too, but I'm not sure when that's going to be.
Yeah. Okay.
I'm saying all of this, but there's stuff that Ian's working on that he can't talk about. That
Yeah, as I was gonna say, I'm here to say, see ya, I'm out.
because his stuff is way more secret than my stuff.
Yeah, super secret. But the stuff that you're working on, there are things to be worked on, and that's very exciting. So do with that what you will, friends. But I do want to ask real quick. So one of our folks, the chat is going so nuts that I lost it. I believe it was Mark wanted something about a supplement about topiary. Topiary, I think that's what it is. We've got something like that in the works, right?
Yeah, you know what? I think one of the barriers I want to break in fantasy is that people just want to fight monsters too much. And I think really they should be looking more at immobile plant organisms.
Shrubs, you got it shaped in,
shape.
Yeah.
Okay, I like shrubbery.
So if anyone sees Mark, let Mark know that we'll get your topiary.
No bestiary, just topiary.
Just topiary all day, all night.
All the dungeons are gonna be like a
shrubberage,
like an unintended grow up. An unintended grow up where the lights have been going for ages and there's plenty of water. You just gotta cut through that.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, right. I like that. And I hope, Mark, if you're out there, I hope that answers your question. I know that you've been waiting desperately.
All right, now, to be less of a jerk, yes, we're doing a book and it's called Foes, and Ian's done most of it already.
There we go.
Most of it together already. So I'm going to be doing finishing touches on that.
Yeah.
More than that, but yeah. Thank you.
Yeah, so it's in motion. We've got something cooking. No worries. We just thought we'd give you a little bit of the business, Mark, and that's why we do this work. Thunder kittens and tiger sharks. I like that.
And I think it's fair to say, I mean, you'll see some things you've seen before, but there's also a lot of new stuff in there. And some of it's completely new, nobody's seen before.
Nice. So awesome. I love that.
Yeah, we're leaning a little more into with a selection of creatures to, again, like what Fantasy Age is about among the host of RPGs, which is, more swashbuckling adventure, more naval themed stuff, that kind of thing. Right.
Yep. Nice.
And in the core, we added a couple of monsters that fit that theme, but we're going to have more of them in Foes. And the idea is what we really want is to have some really distinctive creatures. So the GM will describe one and the player who has secretly read the book goes, "Oh crap."
Yeah.
Right. It's just that double think that makes it so good. Like when, if you remember playing like D&D as a kid, because when you're like 12, right, and you play D&D, what's the first thing that happens? Somebody opens the monster manual and goes, "I'm going to use a demon lord." Right.
Right. Yeah.
Because they're the coolest. Right. And then you die and it was dumb. But that demon lord was really attractive. So, there was something iconic about it. So I want more of that kind of stuff, but also at a lower level too, right? Like we need our rank and file spear carriers and face punchers.
Right. Yeah.
Or punchable faces.
More punchable faces for everyone. Yeah, I like that. No, I'm curious, Ian, does this, now that you are stepping into to the Cthulhu Awakens title, are you going to be running another Cthulhu Awakens actual play?
I don't know, Troy. Am I?
I think you. Here's the thing. We have had a couple. We've had a couple requests of, if there would be a reprisal of everybody's role, because you didn't get us last time. We're still living.
I think it will happen again. I think we need to talk about that because I have the other big, really, really, really big thing.
Oh, yes, right. That's right. Yeah, Nicholas sounds like he is.
so yes, I think we'll definitely get the band back together. Whether it'll be the same characters or not, I'm not sure. We'll see.
Yeah.
A couple different ideas, but
well, that's fun.
But it'd be fun to get the band back together.
Absolutely.
We talked about in a year, and at that point, I would probably be cleared up to do that.
Sure. Given all the things that are going on, behind the scenes. Yeah, I like that. I like that a lot.
I'm going to be busy for the next some months.
Nice. Okay. Well, so we've talked about the transition. We've talked about some of the future of the titles that are coming, additional supplements and good stuff that are coming. Here's a question. I don't know that you can answer this. We need to. This is I'm gonna table the Blue Rose. We'll have a different show on that when we've got a Blue Rose rep in to chat about it. Hey, I wanted to say hey to Sundance Kid. Good to see you here. Glad you're here. And then do we have anybody? Tempo. I see your question about Blue Rose. We'll devote a whole episode to the Blue Rose lore and all the good stuff that you want to know about that. And so stay tuned for that. So what else can we discuss as it relates to, for instance, what do you see when you think about the Atomic Think Tank? Are there some, let's brainstorm a little bit or even just sort of share what your hopes are for this space, for your little slice of the Atomic Think Tank?
I want people who play one of the Age games to maybe branch out, see the others, see how people play the others. Because there's so much cross compatibility between the games, right?
Yeah,
there's just storehouses of material. I would recommend, say, the Modern Age Companion to people playing most Age games because there are so many options in there that can be ported pretty much immediately.
And there's super sound advice that folks can take with them all over into any Age game and that they're using. Yeah, I like that a lot.
Yeah. Well, the Mastery Guide is the one that has the...
that's what I'm thinking. I'm sorry. I'm thinking of the Mastery Guide.
Yeah, the Mastery Guide. Oh, the Mastery Guide has some great stuff for that. But yeah, there are just so many Age resources that are generally applicable. They come from one game, but they're generally applicable to other games.
Yeah.
Right? Aside from that, I think where we're going with the system is we want to make sure that there's more adventure support and things like that.
Yeah.
Certainly I'd like to promote that, and I'd like to see people talk to each other about what they're running.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Your ideas for that. And me, what I want to see what real time things people are experiencing,
Sure.
talking about their games. Because here's the thing, you get a lot of feedback from different people online, but a lot of it is very theoretical, right?
Sure.
And what we're interested, it's not like that's meritless, right? And certainly the image or impression of a game is important. But the focus is where the rubber hits the road, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the thing, and in a lot of situations from the design side, you will do what is not the perfect design in terms of representing a concept, but you'll do the design that maybe isn't precise, but looks a little better, right? Mm-hmm. That people can kind of get behind. And the example for this in Age that I mentioned before is the way the stunt die works, because we could do the stunt die by saying it's always the lowest die you roll. And you would hate that.
Yeah.
You would absolutely hate it. But it is the most mathematically ideal way to do the stunt die, because then, you would only get a 6 on the stunt die on a roll of 18. So, it would be very definitively linked to roll quality. But again, it would be stupid. So we do the less than ideal version of the rule that is, from one perspective, it's less than ideal. But from another, it is more player friendly, and also it connects to the way the 3d6 roll works, because the 3d6 works on a curve, right? And stunts, about half the time, they kind of add punctuation to the set of successful results, right?
Yeah.
So what they're really doing is creating a range of variety in the set of successful results. And that's what makes play memorable on the ground, right? Now, we could do memorable play a different way, with the ideal way where, I rolled an 18, but do we really want to ration out things for very high roll? Do we want to ration out the cool only for the highest rolls? And we don't. So
right, yeah,
that's an example of that kind of thing, right?
Yeah, absolutely, and
I
that makes
totally
perfect sense to me.
what your original question or comment was.
Well, but so in interpreting this, you want we're going to build a space for people who enjoy age games that you can listen to real time to see what they're experiencing, to get practical sort of people have had this experience from running the game and they share that from that perspective. And I think that that's exactly what we're trying to build there in the Atomic Think Tank. And I think one of the things too that I feel like we have some within the Green Ronin complex, we have living some of the best game designers known. I mean, like fantastic, talented people that I think there's a lot to learn and a lot to teach. And one of the things that's great about the Atomic Think Tank is it's set up to really create great courses and for people to kind of go through some of these digital spaces. I would love to see the both of you offer some insights into development and running home games and all of that good stuff, because there's just a wealth of information and resource that is better received spoken. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. Yes, Ian. So from your perspective, thinking about we're gathering all of the various quadrants of the age community, and we're going to have them all in one spot. When you think about that, what are some things that you hope that we do or accomplish while we've got them there?
Thanks for prepping me for this, Troy.
No big deal. No big deal. It's just live with everybody that we're doing.
Sure. I mean, for me as a developer, what I like about that sort of thing is seeing where people are going. Seeing what people are latching on to, what interests them, and what directions people are taking our games, which kind of helps me then thinking, okay, well, people are really interested in this aspect of this game, so we should do something with that, and build it out even further, and make that available, more widely available even. But yeah, I mean, I just love the energy and excitement too, and just seeing what things people build and tinker with, and
agreed,
and all that sort of thing.
Yeah, I dig that. Well said. For Matthew mentions that or asks, how is this think tank different from the subreddit or the Green Ronin? What do they call it? The age appropriate Discord. And what it is initially is something very different than both of those things, but similar in that it's a community. It's a community of people who enjoy Green Ronin products and play and all that stuff. And this is the real guest. What's your cat's name, Malcolm?
Tybalt.
Tybalt, yeah, cute. But yeah. So what it is it's our approach to hi kitty. Tybalt's a good cat. But this is an opportunity for real-time discussion, engagement with the developers, and a space for us to monitor, to ask questions, to poll people, to kind of move in a direction that includes direct and instant feedback from the community. The subreddits are great, but it's different. It's a different kind of engagement. Discord's great as well, but again, it's a different kind of engagement. This is a community of the platform itself is built to serve a certain purpose, and that's connecting and educating, and so that's what we're doing. So hopefully that makes sense, and feel free to continue to ask questions about that. But the other thing that I want to make really clear is that this does not supplant either of those things, nor is it meant to extract people and move them into a new space. It is meant to be a part of this whole ecosystem in partnership and connection. So that's really important. Good. Thank you, Nicole. I was trying to think, like, how can we sum up the first few minutes of the show? There's so much we talked about. But I'm sorry, Malcolm, were you going to say something?
Well, I kind of think of them as a spiritual successor to the ancient forums.
That's
except
right.
Without constant technical problems and terrible people. Not all of them were terrible, only a few, but those few were very loud. And I find too, as a developer, right? I can't tour every place we're being talked about.
Yeah.
To, see I can't do it consistently, right? So, I go to Grod and I go to the Fantasy AGE subreddit, and I look at forums and I look at things like that. But honestly, there kind of has to be a place where I can see where everybody's coming from, and also occasionally I can just say something.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
And hopefully, that can be shared with other spaces, right? I'm still going to go to Grad and, tour around a bit.
Yeah.
But now I'm a little less anxious that, some clarification or something that I think is important is just going to kind of sit there.
Or
right?
get lost in the
lost
signal to
or
noise.
something,
Sure,
right?
sure.
Sometimes when you're answering a question, like you have to kind of answer it once for each venue. And
Yeah. Well,
hopefully that helps with that.
The other thing is, this is imagine it to be a kind of laboratory where there's some opportunities to do some testing of new ideas and that kind of stuff. And I think that is not often easy to coordinate with someone else's forums. But we don't want to diminish what they're doing, and we want to support them. And we'll, as Malcolm said, we'll visit. Go ahead.
That would be a cool thing to see.
What was that?
Play by post. Games.
Oh yeah, sure. I like that.
I'm a big fan of play by post games. I'm a big fan of seeing role playing games, kind of adapting themselves to other media.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Yeah, absolutely. It was very interesting. I was inviting all of the current publishers who are part of the Age Creators Alliance. I've invited them to the think tank, and they're getting in there and kind of filling the space out, and we're talking about all this stuff. But I saw that there were people who were working on solo play for Age, and I found that pretty fascinating. Yeah, I found that.
We've been thinking about it.
Yeah,
honestly, one of the barriers right now is that I cannot, for love or money, find a copy of the Captain's edition of the Star Trek RPG.
As somebody who's, I think maybe someone's phone is ringing, or it's like a.
My bad. Sorry.
No worries. I wasn't sure if I was hearing it because I felt it more. It was a vibration. Go ahead.
Yeah, but that was that is a solo implementation of the Star Trek RPG, and I'm a big fan of Star Trek.
Same.
And I kind of want to see it, and I want to get inspired. Right.
Yeah.
The same. There's also like 5 parsecs from home. Also, a thing I failed to purchase at Gen Con because I was too late, and they were all gone. So I kind of want to really immerse myself in solo stuff before I kind of think of a pitch. There are just so many things from the wider game community that I kind of want to, the RPGs and also not RPGs. I do have some experience looking at Mythic, sort of Mythic.
Sure.
That's a cool thing. The Mythic Game Master emulator it's a very simple tool. And once you get it, you will think, why did I buy this thing? But you wouldn't have come up with it unless you bought the thing.
Right.
So buy the thing. Right. Here I am really pushing other people's stuff. But
that's what I like about this.
Nevertheless,
we're
one big community. Lots of people have great ideas, and yes, super interested in solo play. In fact, there's a guy I see who does Wild Folk Fantasy AGE game that he posts about it on Facebook from time to time. I think he does post about it other places too. But I see it and I think it's cool. So yeah, absolutely.
Now explain that last bit to me again. What is it? It's a.
This person runs a solo campaign, like with an all wild folk party, right? With maps and everything, kind of runs it. Makes up the story for themselves, runs the scenario, and talks about it. And I always think that's cool. Yeah.
Yeah. I like that a lot. One of the other things that I enjoy about this opportunity is that it's going to get we're going to be able to see what people do in their home games and just sort of kind of follow their trajectory of, I love uncovering and unearthing what people's kind of house rules are. Yeah. And that stuff is just really interesting to me to kind of see why they're doing the thing that they're doing. This is interesting too. Just Bad Devil says, frankly, having integrated solo play would be great. I kind of see Mythic as a solution for when game doesn't have a dedicated solution, because that customness is... I love it. Yes, Kitty, I agree. Tibby sounds like Tibby is right next to me.
When I wave a cushion at him. Oh, I'm waving the cushion. It's terribly intimidating. Get out of here, Tibby.
It.
Get out of he's huddling behind the laptop.
We can hear him just perfectly.
At me resentfully. Get down.
Well, see, now, I've heard that if you were to get him his own streaming setup, that he would sit and do that because, he sees what you're doing. Ian, do you have some other thoughts you'd like to share about? Go ahead.
Well, I just went to second what you said there about people's house rules and things, and that's kind of where I was going with my comments there. That I like to see what people, what holes people are trying to fill. What didn't we cover that's needed, and that sometimes gives me inspiration then for the next project of obviously a bunch of people have made house rules on these different things, so we need to cover that at some point and figure out give everyone something that's official. Hey, keep using your house rule if you want to, but but for everybody else, then we fill that gap as well. I also wanted to add that of the list of things we covered earlier was the Fantasy AGE Topiary, Bestiary foes that we're doing as well, because Vaughn was asking about that. So.
Absolutely. Yeah. Hey, I wanted to say real quick, I've swapped the QR codes out. The first one just went to the Fantasy AGE, kind of the HQ over in the store. This will take you right to the product. So scan now.
And I'll have stuff to talk about in about 3 months? I don't know.
Thereabouts. Okay.
June.
Yeah. We're being vague on purpose, and because it could be 2, could be 3. Who knows?
Soonish.
Soon. So expect more here on ThursdAGE. You'll learn about all the big stuff. This is the best place to come. So let's see. Check in the chat. Everyone's scanning. That's great. I'm curious when it comes to
I'm just going to keel over here.
You're an audio person's dream. What was I going to say? I was going to say, let's just talk about this real fast. What are some, when we're looking at the different, now that you kind of got your new Fantasy AGE hat on and your new Cthulhu Awakens hat on, when you're looking at the systems that we've got, what are some of the things that you would recommend? Now, there are a lot of people in the chat that will be like, we know this, or this is what we would do, and I would love to hear that as well. But what are some of those swappable elements, some of those things that you can incorporate one into the other? We did talk about Cthulhu Awakens and the Expanse. Like, what would you borrow, mechanism or otherwise, and how would you mix and match?
Go ahead.
Take Eldritch workings from Cthulhu Awakens as is, and I might tweak them to make them a little easier to cast, because I don't think Fantasy AGE characters are really going to invest in them.
Right.
But if you're not familiar with how Eldritch workings work in Cthulhu Awakens, they're not like other magic systems where you have a class or a talent to earn it. If there's a book with one written in it, you can cast it, right?
Yeah.
You just need to read the book, because that's how the fiction works. So it was very important to me. So that stuff is immediately portable to any age game, because you don't need any particular character traits. Right.
Nice.
And how you cast them is entirely customizable. So I would steal that in a hot minute for my own games, along with some of the creatures, of course.
Certainly. Yeah.
So,
they have a sort of timeless quality, don't they? They can kind of pop up anywhere. Yeah.
mean, the churn from the Expanse is sort of creeping into every Age game at this point.
Yeah.
So we're kind of, because it is such a as mentioned there by temporary, that it creates this tension, especially if you let the players see the tracker and they know, and they know where they are.
Right. Yeah. And that also helps. I see a lot of streamers present that as kind of a tension building thing. And you can maybe throw in, some points to push the tracker one way or the other.
And it lets the game master. One of the things I really dislike when running a game is the players are doing really, really well, and I want to bring in something to make it a little bit harder for them, but it just feels like I'm punishing them at that point. Like I'm punishing them for doing well.
Yeah.
More troops show up, more orcs show up, whatever. But that gives you a mechanic where it's okay, for the game master to say, okay, suddenly all this happens, and it just changes the story. It's not something big happens.
And besides, like you, the player, do you really want to be rewarded with less adventure for succeeding?
But again, it doesn't feel adversarial at that point.
Yeah,
and it sort of removes that aspect from the game, which is
we've got a favorite a GM that we really like a lot, who's been streaming The Expanse for some time. That's Merrick Moir, and he has incorporated Fantasy Age magic into The Expanse as it was really fascinating. We had a whole show on it. We talked about kind of the integration and how it worked and stuff, and that's very interesting. I thought it was very interesting. It looks like Duke's talking about plopping.
Cool.
Yeah, Space Wizards are pretty cool.
Space Wizards are cool. I was always a fan, like in comics. I was always a fan of like the Jim Starlin space magic weirdness. Yep. One of the things that made me happy watching the last Guardians of the Galaxy movie is that they had alien wizards.
Yeah, they did. They leaned into that, didn't they?
Yeah, one of the Ravagers had a sling ring, and they poured it in. I was like, oh, yeah.
There they are.
Magic.
I love that. Duke talks about plopping fortune and conditions into everything. That's great. That's great.
Yep.
Ian, did you want to share some?
Well, we talked about it a little bit earlier, but Nicole brought up mythos creatures in The Expanse, and you were talking about Merrick. I mean, The Expanse, and if you're willing to break from the canon, which a lot of people are, it just really does lend itself to a lot of elements of the mythos, and even in Space Wizards. I mean, the proto-molecule opens up a whole lot of doors for what could happen.
That's right.
Depending on however you want to play with that.
Yeah, and really there are elements of that just feel very cosmic horror-y. So I
mean, why couldn't somebody throw a proto-molecule fireball?
Right? Why couldn't they? Yeah, why not? Why not? Okay, so now if we're looking, are there other elements, or maybe some of the sort of not oft thought of, or other sort of mixing and matching that people could try or test out, or?
Well, the wacky thing is that Fantasy Age and Cthulhu Awakens were kind of developed in concert. Like there was a point where I was just getting the finishing touches on Cthulhu Awakens, and then we got some comments back about some of the stunts in the new Fantasy Age, and I'm like, oh, now that those have been all revised, I have to take this and port it all to Awakens, right?
Right.
Sorry, that is the cat scratching himself right behind the laptop. The whole table, it's on shake.
It's chaos, and I love it. No worries.
Oh my goodness. He's a little ornery. He had to have some surgery. Weeks ago. He came through it just fine.
Clearly, yeah.
But with an attitude. So like a lot of the stuff that I want to port has already been ported. Like Fortune, for example, right?
Yeah.
I put a Fortune option in Cthulhu Awakens, which I screwed up, by the way, until Steve found the problem with my implementation of it. But you'll never see that with the mistake I made. And but it's also in Fantasy Age as an option.
Yep.
Right. Already. So there's a lot of that, a lot of that conversation has been had. I think certainly some of the items in Cthulhu Awakens I think would be interesting in a Fantasy Age game, especially the books. But again, that gets to the Eldritch workings,
Right.
And a lot of the talents I think would be useful as well. However, some of those have been, dealt with, adapted, and expanded in the upcoming Fantasy Age Cthulhu Mythos, currently in layout.
Nice.
Yes.
What do we?
I just remembered Cyberpunk Slice is going to be coming to Expanse with Soul System as well, because we brought the augments with some tweaks into the Expanse there with the upcoming Soul System books. So that's a big sort of a crossover kind of thing.
Yeah,
but
absolutely.
But it's something that is in the Expanse novels, and so I mean,
and I think that works though, as far as the conversation goes, is just a further support of the notion that these things can blend well and be, super enjoyable. Tempo says at least the cat isn't a Raiden who can read your mind and reveal your deepest secrets. I don't know.
I'm not sure about that.
Right. And then Bad Devil wants to shout out whoever made cats cost 0 in Fantasy Age. Everyone at the table thought that was perfect. That's great.
I was the one in Fantasy Age. The listing for cat under equipment said that a cat value is debatable, and I meant that as a lighthearted joke, but then I got taken to task by a member of our staff. demanded that I revise it. So.
That you speak to the true value there. Yeah,
I soften it a bit. Yeah,
I like that.
Your cat.
So we're in the sort of waning moments of the show, and I've always been curious, and I haven't attended one. I've been around developers when they've discussed some stuff, but every Thursday you guys have. Oops, I just slapped my microphone and waving my hands wildly in excitement. Every Thursday you get together the Green Running developers and have dialogue and discussion, and I'm wondering how. I'd love to be a fly on the wall, but and some of this stuff we can't necessarily talk about, but how does that influence the process? Like when you're in the midst of all that, I mean, is it all like a duel at dawn? Like, we're going to fight about these issues or this concept or this fiction that we're going to do, or like, I want this or that, or what is it like? Is it like a salon? Is it like, what's the vibe?
It's talking smack about Troy.
I knew it.
No. Oh, right. Sorry. That's you.
After we start off by reassuring ourselves that we belong to the smartest of departments,
right.
which as you know is a lie.
It's my favorite department. I think the most.
A lot
chaotic.
of it is just like someone will come in with some ideas that are like 50 to 75% formed.
Yeah.
Right. And we'll just talk about it until they're like more like 80 or 90.
Yeah.
Right. And then you go and you finish it. Right. Like we were talking about the various facets of the thing Ian can't talk about.
Yeah.
And a lot of these conversations are about the parameters of what we're going to do too, because
fair, yeah.
Because we are the side of the company that never worries about money.
Yeah, right.
We can often come up with some very ambitious ideas, and then sometimes we'll just stop and go, "Well, that'll be a 500-page book, so no." Right? Or that will take a whole I was saying something and Ian said, well, that would be great, except we don't have that extra year that would require.
Right.
Yeah. So a lot of it is, there's some reality check. There is, how do I extend this into this kind of cool idea I have into a cool idea, and so on and so forth. And a lot of it is it's just seeing where other people are at, because sometimes when other people are working on things, you can kind of steal their ideas.
Yeah,
right.
Present them in your own books, like I did with the Churn. The funny thing is, I've told this story before, But the way the churn was designed was there was a rough outline for how the churn functioned. And then I took it and I thought, oh, well, for modern age, it'll probably need to be a little more firm. All right. Because I wasn't. And so I adjusted those draft rules and I presented it in the for the modern age companion. Right. And then the draft for the modern age companion was taken back. And some ideas from it were used for the final churn rules. So,
well, that's great.
So it kind of bounced back and forth a couple of times. Right?
So kind of cross pollination and maybe a little thunderdoming of concepts and ideas.
Yeah,
I like that.
It's not adversarial ever. I mean, I cannot ever remember a meeting where it's more of a salon, like you said. I mean, we just go around and share ideas and we talk about what we're doing and that sort of thing. But I think Malcolm covered it.
Yeah, that's great. I bring it up because I think about our Age Creators Alliance folks, and oftentimes in a world where there is a lot of great ideas as an individual and you are engaging with a genre that you love, it can be kind of difficult to rouse a group of people to say, hey, let me get creative all over you, and that oftentimes I wonder what the Age Creators Alliance would look like if those folks got together on a monthly basis or a regular kind of discussion to sort of have this. There was that one dance battle, says David. That's true. That's true. But we're of an age that Hey, Allie, good to see you, friend.
I would say it helps if you come in with something.
Yeah, okay.
Right? Mm-hmm. You come in with something and then you work on it a little bit. And also one of the great things is that when you work with people, other people, man, that was a generic way of putting that. Everybody has their own particular sets of knowledge, right?
Sure.
So it is very helpful to pull from that. Like, for example, we were talking about miniatures for some reason, and Chris knows everything about miniatures.
Yeah.
Oh, true. Yeah.
So, and he could provide like very detailed things, not just about like the state of the hobby, but also about companies and some of the technologies they're using and what the issues with those technologies are.
Yeah.
And how releases are organized for them and all of this stuff, right? That I don't know anything about.
Same.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. Hey, someone just entered chat, a dear friend of the Green Ronin, and, Allie with Dice Drop is coordinating a mix of, it's Modern Age and Dragon Age. Am I correct? It's Modern Age. Yeah, it's Modern Age and Dragon Age. It's a mix. And Allie and crew have been on our airwaves sharing world building stuff. It's such a fun thing, and we've got something cooking for this Sunday, right, Allie? I don't know if you've got a Fantasy Age and Dragon Age. Fantasy Age and Dragon Age, sorry, not Modern Age. But yeah, it's so fun. And just another great example of blending the ages. Yeah. So, Allie, I don't know if you've got a link handy to what's going on this Sunday, but we'll provide it and share it as well. But yeah, a lot of fun.
Stream?
What's that?
Is this game going to stream, or is this?
It is, yeah, absolutely, yeah. Dice Drop is, yeah. So, cool. So they've streamed a couple times in their world building, sort of working with the community to kind of add and build aspects of the world. Super fun, and now they're getting ready to, I think and Allie just wrapped on a Mutants and Mastermind stream that they've been doing for years, I believe.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh, there is nothing like a deep game that's taken its time. I miss my long-term, I miss my current long-term game. It's been on a hiatus since the
4 years. 4 years. Yeah.
We all know how good I am at doing short games. I'm like, it'll be 2 sessions, Troy. Just 2 sessions. Oh, 3. Right. No, maybe. No, let's just go with 5.
Let's just go with 5. And not a lot of people are complaining on my friend because it is fun, and I think we all have those roots in those long-term games that are so much fun. And that reminds me, we gotta kick up our Mutants and Masterminds internal game again. That was so much fun. Oh, listen, we're at 2:57 Pacific Standard, and that means a couple more minutes. But why don't we do this? Ian, what's going on in your world? Give us a little bit of, it doesn't have to necessarily be related to Green Ronin. You've got your own project you're working out outside of that. Tell us a bit about it.
The thing I'm working on myself, I did a Kickstarter a while back for a game called Nevermore, which is a role-playing game of American Gothic horror. Uses a card-based system, regular playing cards. You don't need any special crazy cards, though we do have nice cards made for the game. Nice. I'm right behind on it, but I am in the last couple chapters, both of which are mostly written. It's basically development work at this point. So we're getting there. Should be moving into layout hopefully next month. And that's what I'm doing.
That's great. If someone wants to at you, where should they find you? Where should they
Nepenthe Games is the website, is the Facebook page, is the Twitter X page, is the Instagram page. It's
nice.
Nepenthe, NEPE. Oh, I don't know how you spell it.
N-E-P. Yeah. We'll drop a link here shortly. And then Malcolm, how about you? What's cooking in Malcolm's world?
In Malcolm, well, I'm still also working on Swords of the Shadow Planet. What's another weird fact entirely divorced from context about the game that I can?
Please do. I love this. It drives people nuts.
Let me see. Yeah, it's a strange thing. Oh yeah. There is a culture of people who combine the beliefs of medieval France with the beliefs of the Mongols, who worship a giant alien building in which they think the immortal body of Prester John, the mythic Christian king, is interred.
Wow, that is the most non sequitur, like we're gonna have to look at the transcript.
There are ancient Egyptians in space too. But
okay, all right,
that's a twofer.
That's a twofer. Yeah.
What else? I'm a historical fencing instructor, and
that's true.
I recently bought a cool new sword. So
nice. Quick question: Do you name your swords? Do you name your swords?
No, because I treat them terribly.
I see.
I actually have to hire someone to refurbish a couple of my long swords because I've just beaten the heck out of them. So if you're in Ontario and you're a historical fencer, you can see me at an event called Gathering of the Blades at the end of April. And you can fence with me if you like.
Nice. So when you go there, what do you engage in? Sort of feats of excellence and swordsmanship and such? Like, are you competing?
I wouldn't call it excellence, Troy. It's when you're in your 50s. It gets increasingly hard for old age and cunning to catch up with youth and speed.
That's right. Yeah.
So, yeah. But there's I have competitors in my own club, and
nice,
and I help them out, right?
Okay.
But for me, it's mostly recreational, and I like a lot of the stuff that isn't pure fencing, right? Like we're in my club, we're doing a unit on Italian military wrestling right now. So from it's 14th, 15th century stuff, right?
I see.
So nice. It's not competitive. It's if you want to break somebody's arm in a duel.
Which you always wanted to do. I mean, change it up a bit.
Yeah,
I'm far too afraid to use real swords. I just use. I'm actually going to a LARP that uses lightsabers, but not real lightsabers.
Oh, it's easy to get past. You just have to. You have to meet the right. You just have to meet people who are friendly. Like that's the thing for any fighty thing is that there are people who are cool, and then there are people who are very difficult.
Yes.
And I had a bad experience the first time I tried historical fencing out because I was a difficult person, and I was done with it for almost a decade.
Yeah.
and then I came back. So,
well, you know, that's
yes, that is the hobby side of me, and
nice.
Also my cat is really wanting me to pay attention to him instead of talking to the screen, I guess.
Absolutely. Well, listen, what I like about Green Ronin in general is just how different and fun, all the different kind of aspects of our lives that are right in line with the hobby and the craft. And so it's kind of nice to know that the people that are making your games are steeped in it and that they love it. You know, and the other thing is I have wanted to learn how to do. I over the pandemic I trained myself a little bit with throwing knives and axes and some throwing stars and some other things. It was a long time. We were alone for a while. But I really feel like fencing might be my next step. Either that or poi. I think maybe poi might be it.
Well, I remember when we were at the thing with the thing,
Yeah.
and there were literally no sticks.
That's right. Yeah.
Like you asked me to show you something, and I literally could not find a stick where we were. I don't know how we went to the only
stickless place,
rural Washington, with no sticks.
It was stickless. It really was. So for another time for sure. And also, I will say to you, gentlemen, thank you for joining us. Thanks for all the great information. I want to thank everyone in chat for all of your questions and your thoughts and your very hilarious commentary. Don't forget to pick up the Fantasy AGE Quickstart and make sure you head over to the Atomic Think Tank. We'll be doing some amazing stuff there, and it is all meant to be done hanging out with you. So that's true. You know, it's so funny. Bad Devil says, imagine breaking into the offices, the Green Ronin offices, and you're met with a real life, you know, party of, we've got weapons and poi and a cat and all kinds of things that'll come for you. So, you know, think twice.
I would be most effective if I threw the cat, honestly.
Yeah, true. Honestly, very true. Again, gentlemen, thank you so much. Everybody have a great rest of your week and weekend. Come back here for Monday. We have Mutants and Masterminds Monday, and it's our planning episode. It's this episode everybody loves where you get to tell us what you'd like to talk about for the next 3 months. We plan it all out, and we have a blast. So we hope to see you there. Same general space and same general time. We just switch out the skin suits and hose everybody down and the cat. And Sunday, yes, Allie, stay tuned for Sunday. We've got some big plans coming. And Allie, did you drop a link in chat, or did you try to? And you can't because you don't have link powers. We'll make sure you check out our socials. We'll make sure to amplify that message there. And goodbye, kitty. See you all later. Bye.